Hello everyone, and welcome to the reflection episode of the new Celeste 90% tutorial. This chapter is a bit tough. It's also on the longer side, but thankfully it doesn't have as many super critical or like cycle-based strats like you would find in Resort or Temple B. There are a few major strats in this chapter that are more or less optional that I recommend you try as well, so I'll be getting to those in a bit. But to start off, you're gonna start right here. So feathers are the one mechanic in the entire game where your movement is going to differ slightly depending on whether or not you're playing on keyboard or controller. Despite the fact that controllers do get more angles on the feather, the difference in times that you can get, depending on which control scheme you use, is pretty much negligible. Like, the world record holder for this chapter uses keyboard. So, yeah, only in, like, past and stuff like that does the angles really matter. You might find feathers slightly easier on controller if you're used to both control schemes, but feathers are not a reason to switch to controller if you're a keyboard player. They're not too hard to control with keyboard, and most of the rooms are designed to be suitable for keyboard as well. So when you start right here, you just want to get to this feather really quickly, so you can extend a dash jump and dash straight up into it if you want. You can dash straight up into it, or if you do it really quickly, you can do an upright. And if you input this fast enough, you can even grab the feather without it drifting to the right, which gives you a little more speed. But you want to be holding up left when the feather starts, and then if you're on controller, you can just get this angle. On keyboard, you can get near analog angles by kind of tapping between two different directions, and it's pretty useful in a lot of different places, so you're going to want to practice that as well. Another thing to note with keyboard is that if you start at a diagonal angle with the feather, so if I start diagonally with the feather instead of straight up, you actually get a very, very small speed boost, but still noticeable nevertheless. So if you have the option between going diagonally or going vertically or horizontally, you're going to want to go diagonally if you're on keyboard. If you're using the analog stick, then it doesn't make a difference. So just start diagonally and then tap. You want to, well, first of all, not miss that feather, but you want to try and get through that this section while minimizing the amount of rotation that you do, because rotating with feathers also slows you down if you're rotating more than a certain angle. I don't know the exact angle, but basically, like, if you're tapping, you don't slow down at all because you're rotating a very small amount. But if you try and do like sharp 90-degree turns, then you lose a lot of speed. So you don't, like, you can just like press right and then try and squeeze through the gap like that, but you actually lose a lot of speed because of that 90-degree turn. So if you kind of soften your turn like this, you can more easily get to that feather, because you want to skip the bubble feather on the bottom left and just make it all the way up here. So just kind of make your way around there. You're going to want to practice a little, because this is the hardest part of the feather room right here. Just skipping that feather. Oops. So it's this bend right here. If you do that too slowly, you may miss this feather. But if you get enough height, you can just drift up, and then at the peak of exiting the feather, you want to dash up into the next bubble feather. But after dashing up through this feather, you can start diagonally. Like, you won't hit that corner unless you somehow hit the bubble really low. But most of the time, you can just take it diagonally, and then you just kind of want to tap your way from here. You can just take this, if you went to the right enough after dashing through the bubble, you can just take this straight up, and then you want to go right around this wall. Take these feathers, left around this wall, right around this wall, and then you just go straight up, and then be ready to react to when the cutscene skip happens. Or when the cutscene happens, so you can skip it. From this room, You can either go right or you can do lake skip, which is another one of the like major skips in the game. But this one is not only quite difficult, but it's also small enough that even in like higher level runs, you don't absolutely need to do it. Like I don't do it in my runs, so you can get like sub 30-minute times even without this. But if you can find if you find that you can do lake skip consistently, it's a pretty big time save. So you're gonna want to at least try it out and see how good you are with it. From here, if you want to do lake skip, you want to go to this left wall over here. And you can do that pretty easily just by doing an up dash, and then if you keep doing up left dashes, you can jump out of the water by pressing jump, and then grab the wall, which will get you to the wall here. And you want to climb up a bit. I recommend climbing up to about this point right here, where her hair is kind of level to where the grass meets the rock. And if you practice doing like short climb jumps, you can also just get to this point right away. But you need to, so basically the way lake skip works is that there's actually that wall that looks like it's covered in spikes up here. That wall actually has a very small spot on the bottom that the spikes hitbox doesn't touch. Meaning you can actually wall bounce off the bottom of this wall. But just doing a wall bounce isn't enough, because even if you wall bounce off the very bottom, the momentum from the wall bounce will push you into the spikes. So like I got a wall bounce there, but it killed me anyway. And the reason that happens is because the wall bounce pushes you into the spikes. So there's a mechanic with wall bounces where you don't need to be directly against the wall in order to wall bounce. For the most part, it's just a quality of life mechanic to make it easier to line up. But like if I'm a little bit away from the wall, I can still wall bounce off of it, and it's a pretty significant difference. Like I'm pretty far off the wall right now, but I can still wall bounce off there. So you actually need to make use of this feature so that you can wall bounce a little bit to the right of that wall, which will get you around the spikes. So you need to wall jump off here, move far enough to the right that you aren't lined up with the wall, but are rather a few pixels to the right of it. And then if you dash up, wall bounce, and then if you line it up correctly, you'll go around it like that. And the hard part is getting the correct horizontal lineup, because you have only like a few frames to time the up dash after the wall jump. But if you're too far right, you'll just fall. If you're too far left, even if you get the wall bounce, you'll still hit the spikes. So it's a very hard trick. Also, when you get this wall bounce, you don't want to be pressing right, because if you're pressing right when you wall bounce, then it'll send you too far away from the wall and you won't be able to get back to it. So you want to be either pressing up or left when you perform this wall bounce. Either works. And then after the wall bounce, you need to be holding left. So I prefer to just, after I dash up, I just hold left, so that when I wall bounce, I immediately move back to the wall. And then when you grab the wall, it's just a bunch of climb jumps to get out of the room. And then if you don't want to do lake skip, because it is very, very difficult, and it breaks even if you get it second try. But if you're less than 50-50, or even, I'd say even less than like 2 out of 3 with lake skip, I wouldn't recommend doing it, because you can lose a lot of time if you die to it multiple times. So the route to ignore lake skip is just getting around all these walls, as hitting as few walls as possible, and then hitting this Kevin over here. So you can just do like, if you do one up dash, then you can get over this with 2 upright dashes. And then you kind of just want to alternate between down right and right dashes so that you don't hit any walls. So up, right, right. And then if you can do this. So if you just go back and forth between right and down right dashes, it kind of gets you at the correct angles. But you don't want to do this down right here, because you can actually, if you get to this point, you'll be a little bit below here, which means you can actually dash right here. Or if you want to be safer, when you get to this point, you can demo dash forward, and that'll pretty much always nudge you under the wall. So it's just doing a demo dash there makes it a little easier to get under that wall. The fast way to do this, though, is you can do a few hypers. So you can do hyper dashes and dash jumps underwater. So after doing these 2 uprights, you can hyper off of here, And I'd recommend doing a demo hyper because it lines up a little better and you won't hit the corner. So you can see a demo hyper sends me really fast. And then after the demo hyper, if you keep doing down right dashes, you can also wave dash off that lower platform. And then that gets you to the Kevin a little faster. If it takes you, I believe, 16 dashes to get the Kevin, then that means you're doing it as fast as possible. So you can kind of count the dashes while you're practicing if you want. And then once you dash diagonally into Kevin, you can just climb up. You don't have to jump up onto him. You'll never be too low that he'll kill you. So you can just climb up. You can hold crouch while waiting on him if you want, just to be ready to time dashing down, and then you just dash down. You don't need to wait for him to clear the wall entirely. If he's about to hit the corner, you can just jump off him to get the momentum boost to go up. And then if you enter the room from Lake Skip, you're gonna enter about right here, in which case you can just hyper or wave dash and then bunny hop and dash up right into the feather. If you entered here though, you want to wave dash and then dash either upright or straight up through the feather. And then it's mostly just, most feather parts are just maneuvering, like there aren't many skips you can do. If you want to go faster with feathers, you just gotta smooth out your turns, so try and avoid sharp angles, and also try and cut as many corners as you can. Of course, cutting corners can be a little dangerous if you're cutting around spikes, and even cutting corners around walls is dangerous because you can bounce off them at really awkward angles. So just pretty much decide how careful you want to be with the feathers, and the riskier you play, the faster you go. That's pretty much about it with most feathers. But you don't need to do much turning to get around here. You can either wave dash off that platform and then dash up to get out of the room. Doing a wall bounce out of the room is kind of dangerous, so I'd recommend just dashing up and then grabbing a wall so you can climb jump out. You can also, what's something that's about the same amount of speed but is a little safer, is if you dash to the left out of the feather and then do an extended dash jump. Here you just want to dash into the feather right away. And then you can, if you're on keyboard, you can just do entirely diagonal directions. You don't need to hold just up at any point in time. So just do up left and up right around here, and then you want to dash up left into the Kevin once you're able to. And you need to be ready to climb up onto him. Don't jump onto him again, because you might end up just flying. He'll end up just going right under you. You want to climb up onto him, and then be ready to dash down the moment he is able to fit through this gap directly above you. And sometimes you'll land directly on him as well, which makes it even easier to time that. But you want to, in fact, I'll do that again. You want to dash down onto him and then be ready to extend it hyper off of him. And then if you extend it hyper, you'll have another dash, so you can just climb jump and then dash out, or wave dash out, I mean. If you lose your dash, that's okay. You'll still make it to the wall, in which case you just want to climb jump and land here. Oh, hey, Kevin. So when you get to this point, you're either going to wave dash here or hyper into the next room. You can either just hyper into the feather or extend the hyper and then dash forward. And then again, more maneuvering from here. If you line this up correctly. So you want to be moving pretty much straight to the right, but you want to be low enough that you don't hit this wall. And then you can, if you hold grab here, and then dash forward and then input a jump, you'll either dash jump out of the room or you'll corner boost out of the room, both of which are fine. But you want to dash into this feather. You can either dash upright into it, or to get a little more height, you can wall bounce into it. And getting that wall bounce makes it a little faster to get the fast feather in this room. Because if you can get this feather to the next feather quickly enough, you can grab the second feather without ever exiting the first feather. Because the animation where you grab another feather is really long. Like, you lose quite a bit of time, like almost half a second if that happens. So you want to, this is a room where you definitely want to play a little riskier so you can get to that feather as soon as possible. And you just need to practice the, like, feather angles that you need. And again, if you wall bounce here, you can get more height when you start the feather, making it easier to get to here. And again, once again, you just need to maneuver around. Don't grab that corner like I accidentally did. You want to get to about this point right here, and then you can dash up left. And ideally, you want to be able to grab this wall right here. So you need to be a little higher than that, actually. Like about right here. You grab this, and then you can climb jump to the next room. If you dash left at the correct time, starting this room, you'll break the block and get your dash back at the same time, so you can immediately do another left dash into the Kevin. Just don't do them too close together, or else you'll cancel your first dash with the second one. And then you can either jump or dash up right to avoid this Kevin. And then the moment he hits the wall, just dash down into him. Here, you want to be standing not on the leftmost edge, but close to the left edge of Kevin. So that you don't get crushed. So kind of about here. And then you want to take the momentum boost, and you want to do a very high wall bounce from this momentum boost so you can get to the right wall at the end. You need to make sure you delay your jump enough that you get enough height from this wall bounce to get up to here. And then from here, you just climb jump out. You're going to want to wave dash, and then this is a corner boost I highly recommend you do if you have 2 jump buttons. Because if you just wave dash, and then corner boost off here, you can just dash up right to here. Otherwise, you're going to have to, like, do some weird stuff that I don't really know how you would do it otherwise, but it's a very easy corner boost to do. You just wave dash and then press your other jump button. From here, this is a part where you have to do lots of neutral jumps in order to climb a really high wall. So if you jump to the left from here, you can do it from here if you want, but you're a little lower, so you might have to do more neutral jumps. So I'd recommend jumping from here. If you jump to the left and then wall bounce off of here, you again want to get a lot of height out of this wall bounce. And then you want to get as much height from these climb jumps as you can. And something neat that you can do to make sure you get full height out of climb jumps is if you hold one jump button and then press the other, you'll always get full climb jump height. So if I hold space, my first jump button, and then just press my second, you can see I get full climb jump height out of all of these. And then if you do this well enough, you will only have to do one neutral jump to get around here. Be ready just in case you don't get enough height, because you might have to do 2, but you should never have to do more than 2 climb jumps. Once you land here, you can just dash jump out of over all this, and then hyper into the next room. And then be ready to slide off Kevin, hit him on the right side. This is a little bit of a tricky strat that involves getting to block the fall before Kevin reaches it. But it's a pretty significant time save as well, so you want to try it at least. So you need to grab that block before Kevin reaches it so you can make it fall. And then that way he'll just go right through that gap without crashing into the block. And you have pretty much 2 options for doing this. One is to either time a hyper as early as possible and still get to the block, kind of when you're at that point right there. So, like, pretty much the moment you're able to hyper off of Kevin, so the moment you clear these spikes here, and you want to be crouching so you go under them, but the moment you clear these spikes here, you want to hyper to the block, and then you want to make sure you grab the block so that it starts falling. Then if you jump off the block, it'll fall sooner. So don't hold on to the block, you want to jump off it, but you need to make sure it falls as well, because if you jump off it too soon, you'll just wall jump instead of grabbing it. Like that. And then it'll kill you. And you'll notice Kevin just barely gets past the block. Like, you can even see he kind of nudges the corner of it there. So doing it like this is pretty tight, but as long as you make sure the block falls, it won't kill you. If Kevin does hit the block, though, so if you do this a little too slowly, maybe, you just want to dash into him again, so fall off and dash into him again. An alternative method that is a little more input heavy, but it gets you to the block a little sooner so that he's less likely to hit the block, is to go further left, extended hyper off of Kevin, and then ultra to the block. Like that. And you don't want to ultra too quickly or else you'll go under the block, so you want to kind of delay your ultra a little. And then the moment Kevin clears that wall, you want to climb up onto him, and you can just do a quick hyper off of him. And if you bunny hop, you can bunny hop off the water, or you can bunny hop off of any of those platforms, depending on which you land first. But if you do a full height bunny hop, it should get you into the next room. that. And also, if you land about right here, you can also hyper if you want. When you get into the next room, though, you need to be sure that you're not going too fast, or else you might crash into these spikes over here. So you just want to slow yourself down a little by pressing left, and then just dash forward with the feather. You want to maneuver the feather around here, and then if you hit this Kevin, you want to get to the top of the Kevin, and you actually want to land on top of it so you can get your dash back. So you have plenty of time to climb to the top of him, though. Like, it takes forever for him to get to this point, so don't be too afraid, just a slow climb. You don't need to climb jump if you don't want to. But after you land on him, you want to step off him right away, and then be ready to maneuver around these spikes. And then once he hits the wall at the end, you can wall bounce off of him. And you need to make sure you get a momentum boost from the wall bounce. Like that. And if you wall bounce, you'll get enough height to land right here. If you don't wall bounce, you're going to fall down here. In which case, you'll have to make your way up to this platform. From here, you just want to hyper in, and then wave dash off of here so you can dash up right here. And then you want to make sure you land on this block. If you input a jump too quickly, you might actually accidentally climb jump off this corner right here, in which case you won't get your dash back. So just make sure you land here, and then if you can jump, dash up right, do some more climbing to get to here. And then you can either jump and then wave dash off of here, or demo hyper off of here. Demo hyper is a little bit faster. You wanna use the hyper momentum to bunny hop off of here and then dash up right to get over these spikes. And then you can either weave your way around these spikes and go straight to the feather, like that. Or if you are afraid of these spikes, you can just fall to here and wall jump. Again, you want to maneuver the feather a little more. And then you want to wave dash off the left side of this blue platform. And the farther left you wave dash, the easier the next room will be. But for the next room, you need to do wave dash or extended hyper at the start of the next room. And if you do it too slowly, or if you do it too late, you'll lose your dash, which takes a while to get back up if you lose your dash. So you want to enter this room wave dashing as far left on this block as possible, and you also want to input the wave dash at the start of the next room as early as possible, that you spend as much time sliding along the ground as you can. And then if you get your dash back, you can just dash upright and then climb up to here. If you lose your dash, you're going to fall somewhere around here, in which case you just want to climb jump and then dash up to land here. This next room is pretty straightforward. You just hyper in, bunny hop. You'll have to do one climb jump to get up here. Then you can just extended hyper, dash up right here, land here. And then if you dash down right on this platform, you can get your dash back more easily. And then dash straight down. And you're going to want to land on kind of the green platform down there. So just make your way down here. And then if you hyper into here, bunny hop and then land there, or hyper in, wave dash and then dash forward. You can land right here, and you want to dash forward, and if you do a forward dash and then a down right dash at the correct timing, you can bunny hop off the left side of this platform. If you do it too quickly though, you'll fall down here, so you just want to delay the down right dash. Even if you brush against the ceiling, you'll still just slide into here. And then when you land here, you can either wall bounce off this left wall, or just bunny hop and then dash up to land here. This room, you want to hyper in, hit the Kevin on the right side, and then you need to walk far enough left onto him so you can extended hyper when he reaches the end. And then the extended hyper will give you enough speed to dash upright to the wall at the end, so you can just skip the bumper. Sometimes you'll accidentally hit the bumper, but usually it'll send you straight up, so you can just dash upright to the end. From here, you want to hyper in, dash straight down, and then the moment you hit the ground, you want to dash down to break the block. And then you want to land on kind of the green platform. You want to land on the left edge of this platform, so that when you do a dash into the block, you get your dash back. So I'd recommend even doing a downright dash here, so you slide along the ground longer. And then you can just input 2 downright dashes to get down here. And then the second down right will give you your dash back again, so you can dash down to this block. Sometimes it's kind of random, or at least it's very inconsistent, but sometimes you'll get your dash back when you break this block down here, in which case you can input another down dash. So just be ready to do that just in case you do get your dash back, but usually you won't. Either way, regardless of whether you dash down, you want to land far enough, like usual, land far enough left on this block that you can forward dash or down right dash to this block. I'd recommend doing a forward dash in this case because the block's a little further away. But if you're far enough left, you'll get your dash back by dashing forward into it. And then you can just hold right this entire time and you'll land on here. And then from here, the next room is one of the hardest rooms in Reflection due to some kind of tricky bumper angles. Bumpers can be very inconsistent. So I'd recommend dash jumping into the next room. And then you want to bunny hop and try and land on the very top of this bumper so it sends you straight up. Because you want to be able to dash right so you land on the very top of the second bumper as well. And then if you drift forward after bouncing up from the second bumper, you can dash down right through the crystal. And then you can either dash down left, or if you want to be a little safer, you can dash left into the bumper. And then it's just an upright dash to the wall, land here, and then you want to jump and then dash diagonally into the transition that you go through the feather at the start. And you might need to do another dash at the start of the room to get the feather. If you grab this feather quickly enough, or if you have enough momentum, in fact, you can even dash jump into here to get a little more momentum. But if you have enough momentum entering the room when you grab the feather, you can just take it upright and you'll avoid this bumper. Otherwise, you're going to go up and then weave your way around like that. Pretty easy to get that diagonal at the start, though. You want to take this top room, though. And then the feather will live long enough for you to just take it into the transition and then dash upright over this wall. And then you just want to do right dashes as you grab these crystals. Maneuver this feather some more. Dash right to this wall, climb up, and then from here you can jump and then either wave dash or demo hyper into the next room. With a very well-timed ultra, you can slide into this gap and then just slide off the Kevin, like that. Otherwise, you'll hit the wall. So you're going to want to practice this a little because it actually does save a lot of time, but if you mess it up, you can just... you're going to be like crouching right here if you mess it up. In which case, if you do a down right dash, you can either dash forward or take the dash a little longer and then dash down right. And this is a part where some runners go top, which is a little bit faster, and other runners go bottom. I'd highly recommend going bottom because it's a lot easier. There's a pretty small time difference between the two. But you see, if you got that ultra, you can slide down there. But regardless, you're going to land down here, whether you get the ultra or not. And then if you walk off this platform and then dash down left, you can fast fall to here. And then you can just hyper into the next room. And then this room is a little bit tricky as well, but it is easier than the one above it. So if you bunny hop, you need to do what's called bumper boosting in this room. Which is a mechanic where when you hit a bumper, if you're holding the direction away from the bumper, when you come in contact with it, then you'll get additional speed. So if I just hit the bumper, it sends me like that, but if I'm holding away, it sends me much farther. So normally, if you're just jumping into a bumper, it's kind of hard to switch direction right before you hit it, because you need to kind of drift into it while your back is to it, so that you're already holding right when you come in contact with it. So something you can do to make bumper boosting a little easier is if you're farther away from the bumper and then dash into it, you'll have more time. You'll have the entire duration of your dash to switch directions. So after you dash left, you just want to switch to right. And that's why it's convenient to bunny hop at the start of this room. You want to bunny hop a little later than that though. And then you'll be way to the right of the bumper, so you can dash left into it. You want to make sure you get full height from this hyper though. And if you get the bumper boost, you can just dash up and then hit the left side or the right side of that third bumper and skip the second bumper entirely. This is the only really necessary bumper boost in the entire chapter though. You can bumper boost off the majority of the bumpers for a little more speed though. So depending on the situation, you might want to try doing more bumper boosts than just this one, but this is the only important bumper boost. And then you can either dash down right, or I mean down left, or just straight left into that last bumper, and then you can dash up or up right into this feather. Again, just maneuver this feather, and then wave dash out into the next room. Then you can dash upright into this feather. You can skip the second feather, the second bubble feather. Again, you want to tap, dash forward, move down just a little bit so you can dash forward into this feather. And then you can just take this feather down right at the start. And then you want to get close to being level with this platform so you can either hyper or wave dash off of it into the next room. But this room is one of the few major cycle dependent rooms in the chapter because you have some moving bumpers that will be in different positions depending on how fast you do the room. So I'd recommend starting with either an extended hyper or a bunny hop and then ultra dashing into the feather so you have as much speed into it as possible. And then if you're going down fast enough, you don't have to press down at all to go under this wall. You'll already be low enough, and then you just need to move up a tiny bit over these spikes over here. And then the important part to getting this fast cycle is that you dash upright into this bubble. Because if you dash straight up into it, you'll be higher up when this feather starts, which means it'll take you too long to get the fast cycle. But if you drift up and then dash upright into the bubble, you'll be able to get the fast cycle. But you want to take this feather straight down and just try and get to the next feather as quickly as possible, so you might need to cut some corners here. Also, I'd recommend tapping, because you need to get to this feather without falling out of it, and if you do it too slowly, you'll fall out of the feather and lose some time. If everything went correctly though, you can just go straight through the middle between these two bumpers and they won't be in the way. And then you want to go dash right through the last feather bubble and then go under these two, the first pair, and go between the second pair. And then you just wave dash out of the room. If you do this room a little too slowly, the bumpers will be in a different spot, which means we're going to want to go under this bumper and then go over this bumper. And then if there's kind of a specific window of time during which the bumpers just will be in a really bad place, you're going to want to get consistent with the fast cycle so you don't have to deal with any of these awkward bumper positions. If you do die in this room though, there's a pretty easy death cycle for it. So in fact, I'll need to remove the save state. If you die here, because you're still going to want to do the extend hyper and ultra at the start. Actually, I think I need to do that. But basically, even if you don't get this fast feather, the bumpers will be low. So you just do this kind of normally, you can go under that bumper, and then do it kind of the same. That's the death strat. But I do find the death strat isn't something you want to try on entry because the bumpers won't be in the cycle, but you're going to want to practice both getting the cycle from entry and getting the cycle from death, because this is one of the harder rooms in the chapter as well. It's a hyper from here, and then if you take this hyper a little further, you can just wave dash off of here, the bunny hop, or if you wave dash soon enough, you can wave dash over this block. But I'd recommend just wave dashing, bunny hopping, and then hypering the granny. Skip this cutscene. You don't need to press the talk button, and also you'll be far enough to the left that you won't accidentally talk to granny. So you can just hyper or extended hyper from here, and then you can either wave dash or bunny hop off of that block. If you dash down right into the transition, you can start with a hyper. And then you can do a bunch of wave dashes in the next room if you do it off of pretty much every block. Sometimes you won't get your dash back though, in which case you'll want to start doing some bunny hops. Like, I find it particularly difficult to get a wave dash off of this block. So what I would recommend is after wave dashing or hyper dashing off of this block, you bunny hop, and then you want to time a down dash once you're over the chasm. When you start this room, You don't want to touch the ground below Kevin because that takes a while. So I'd recommend either landing right here and then doing the extended hyper off of here to get your dash back. Or if you move a little bit to the right, you can reverse wave dash off of here to get your dash back. You can also, if you're like about right here, you can wave dash off of there, but it's pretty easy to accidentally miss the platform or accidentally jump off the corner. So you want to get your dash back, and then you can dash up right or straight up into Kevin. You want to move out of the way so that Kevin breaks the block, and then you want to grab the side of him. You can just walk right into him. You don't need to jump into him. But once you grab him, you can just hold down so that you spend as much time on the bottom as you can. Because you want to dash down the moment he hits the block at the bottom. So if you dash straight down, you can then land either right here or right here, and then extended hyper. And then you can fast fall through here if you want. It's not too dangerous, but you want to dash left into that bumper and then try to bumper boost. It's not necessary, but you can get to this spot a little faster if you bumper boost. And then there are basically two different routes get through here. There is a bunch of shortcuts in this room that let you pretty much go straight down through most of it. So if you, first of all, if you jump down here and then grab this wall, you'll automatically be lined up to fall straight down through this first gap. So you can even fast fall through there. It's not dangerous to fast fall, but you want to dash right into this wall, and this will line up falling through the second gap if you fall straight down through it. You don't even need to grab this wall. You can just fall straight down. That'll land you right here. And if you do both of these ravines, you want to land on this bumper so you can dash left, and then you need to fall through this last ravine. And this is the hardest one because even though it is wider, there is no setup for it. You just have to practice falling and then holding right for the correct amount of time so you fall through it. If you die to these spikes though, it sends you all the way to the top of this room because there are no checkpoints on the path to the end of this room if you take these ravines. So something that I'd recommend, because you can actually, there is a checkpoint you can take that isn't much slower, and if you do it really well can even be faster than taking all three. So after falling down through here, and you don't even need a dash if you do it this way, so I'd recommend dashing forward or down right, and then dashing down left into this wall so that you line up with it right away. And then after clearing here, you want to fall to the left. You can fast fall to the left if you want, and you'll land right here. And then you want to take this bumper to the right of you and take it to the right. You can bumper boost off it if you want, which is a little faster. It's not absolutely necessary though, because you just want to take the bumper and then dash left to get over this wall. And if you do get the bumper boost, you can just dash down, but you have to react to whether or not you get it. If you do like a reverse hyper or even like a reverse demo dash hyper, you can give yourself a little more time to change direction and get that bumper boost. But if you want to play safe, you can just always dash left. If you land right here, or just anywhere on this green platform, you get a checkpoint. So if you die to the last ravine, it won't cost you a ton of time. But to get through the last ravine, you just want to practice. If you land right here, you can extend it hyper and then dash straight down to start it. If you took the bumper on the right, you just dash left, and then you just have to kind of line yourself up. And you can choose to either fast fall or not fast fall through here. It really isn't that much harder to fast fall through it if you practice fast falling through it. And if you take this checkpoint, I definitely recommend you try fast falling because it is much faster. If you don't check the checkpoint though, it is okay just to not fast fall and play it safer. But you just need to fall into the gap and then hold right and let go of it you need to tap right for a specific amount of time and then just fall straight down. You shouldn't have to press left at all as you get through this ravine. You're gonna land right here though if you do make it through. And then from here, if you just hyper off of here, you can bunny hop off the water to keep your speed a little longer. And if you bunny hop at the correct time, you get a dash back, and so you can dash down right to go under here. And then it's mostly just lots of dashes. And you want to be kind of level with the water so you can dash forward and you might end up bobbing up like that, depending on how high you are. So if you do end up bobbing up like that while you're almost level with the water, you might accidentally wall jump off this corner. So just make sure you move forward a little bit, that you're actually on this platform, so you can then hyper into the next room. You want to do like a long hyper at the start of the room, that you go over here, because if you do a whole bunch of wave dashes, you might accidentally like dash down right into this ditch, which will cost you a lot of time. So just make sure you go over this before you start doing wave dashes, and then you can just wave dash. And then you want to dash down once you're over this water. And then this is like the only like water level in the entire run. So it works a little bit differently. But pretty much you want to dash down left so that you're lined up against the wall, and then you can just dash straight down a bunch of times. And then once you're far enough down, you want to dash down right. Drift a little bit from the down right dash, so you're not too far to the left. And if you drift enough, you won't collide with that wall. If you land right here, and then if you do a left dash and then immediately dash up left and then left again, you can dash through this section. If you want to play it safe though, you can just kind of drift through this section, because this is the hardest part of the room. But if you dash left, up left, left, and then down, after getting to this spot right here, you can weave through all of these. You're going to want to keep dashing straight down though, because you want to actually hyper off this spot right here, and then dash down some more. And you want to make sure you exit this water with a dash, so don't spam too many dashes. Make sure you just fall out of the water at the end and keep your dash. When you keep your dash, you can then dash right to here and land right here. The next room has a pretty significant strat in it as well, called Badeline boost, which basically involves hypering and bunny hopping off of a single Kevin to get its momentum boost twice. And this will give you a ton of speed in order to just launch yourself into Badeline at the end. So just kind of do hypers, and then you can slide along Kevin and then hit the right side of him. You need to be ready to start jumping over these spikes as they come at you, and make sure you're holding right when you input jump, that you jump to the right and don't jump straight up, because otherwise Kevin will go past you. Like if I jump straight up, you'll see Kevin moves forward. So to make sure you don't get left behind, make sure you press forward and jump at about the same time. So to get Badeline boost, first of all, after clearing the third set of spikes, you want to move close to the left edge of Kevin. Don't move too far to the left though, because you can fall off of him, and then he'll just race past you and you'll fall. But you want to move close to the left side of him, and then there's a specific timing where you need to do a hyper bunny hop off of him. And I find the easiest way to time it is by counting how many of these like tentacle animations happen. And if you count to 6, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. After the 6th tentacle passes, that's when you want to do the hyper bunny hop. So like right after it passes. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then you do a hyper bunny hop. And then the hyper bunny hop, if you hold jump, you're gonna hit the ground right here, in which case you want to do another kind of medium height bunny hop, because if you bunny hop too low, you'll crash into this wall right here, and if you bunny hop too high, you'll crash into this ceiling right here. But if you do the correct height from the bunny hop at the start of this room, you'll actually land right here, and then you'll just slide extremely fast along this platform, and then you can just skip the cutscene and then press jump, and you'll launch yourself right into Badeline. So let me do this whole thing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So if you skip the cutscene right before you reach Badeline, you'll keep your momentum from the Badeline boost, and then you can jump into her. I'll show you, so I'll start from here. So once you get to Badeline and you skip the cutscene, you're going to want to dash forward. Because you can dash down right and land on this blue platform, but if you mistime it, you'll hit the spikes. So I'd recommend dashing forward, and you can either mash or get used to the timing. You can do it a little faster if you get used to the timing for when you regain control of Badeline after hitting Badeline. But in most cases, if you want to, you can just mash the dash button until you get your dash. And then when you land right here, I'd recommend just jumping and then dashing upright to go over that fireball. And then you can cancel the momentum from hitting Badeline by doing the dash. So after hitting here, you just want to pretty much mash a down right dash and then fast fall out of the room. You can fall and then dash forward to Badeline without hitting the ground, and then you want to dash straight down after hitting her, because dashing down right will send you to the spikes. I'd recommend doing an extended dash jump off of here so that you can wave dash off the blue platform over there, and then you can either dash up or wall bounce into Badeline. And then you're going to want to mash right here, and then you can just do a long hyper from here to get to Badeline. Again, you want to dash straight down here so you can extended hyper. You want to extended hyper here, wave dash off of here, and then dash either up or upright into Badeline. And if you do it too slowly, you will end up just going past her like that, so doing the up dash is a little bit easier. But if you do it quickly enough, the upright dash will send you towards her. You want to mash right dash from here. So you land right here, and then you can hyper bunny hop off that green platform and then dash up into Badeline. Again, mash a down right dash and fast fall into this room. You want to get to that spring as soon as possible, so I'd recommend dashing down right at the start of the room and then dashing forward to the spring. And then the spring will send you directly into her, but it's a little faster to dash up into her. And then after hitting her here, you should mash dash right to land on the platform, and then you can just jump and dash into her again. You might want to fast fall to that platform though, so you get to it a little sooner. After hitting Badeline here though, you want to dash down right, and then hyper bunny hop into her again. If you're a little afraid to do a hyper bunny hop though, because you might hit those spikes, you can do an extended hyper instead. You actually want to dash upright from here to get onto that wall, and then you want to climb jump into Badeline. And you can use both climb jumps here if you want as well. After hitting Badeline, if you do this room fast enough, this block to the left of me that you see falling will stop my momentum, so I'll just back up into it. And that will allow you to dash down right into this platform and then hyper Badeline. But you see, if you do it too slowly, the block is out of the way. But if you do it correctly, you'll back up against that block so you can dash down right and then just hyper to her. Again, it's another down right dash out of the room. For here, you just want to dash forward, you don't want to land. You want to dash forward and climb jump into her. And then you want to dash right, and then just hyper, and then fast fall into her, so you want to make it a short hyper. And then after hitting her, you want to dash down left to this wooden platform, so you can extended hyper off of it. And then if you extended hyper, you can you don't need to extended hyper if you want to bunny hop off this crumble block, but if you do extended hyper, you can wave dash off of it, and dash up right into Badeline. So you can do something like that. You're going to want to dash down right again here to get on this platform, and then you can just hyper bunny hop into her. Again, dash down right. You might slide along this corner right here, in which case you're going to want to use that extra dash to dash down into the transition. And then you're going to want to land right here so you can hyper off of here. So just fast fall to here, and then you can do a hyper bunny hop and then dash upright into her. And you want to make sure you go under those fireballs. You might need to climb jump into, up to her if you hit this wall as well. If you mash, you can pretty consistently land on the left edge of this platform, but if you want, you can dash right after hitting Badeline. But it is ideal that you land right here, because in the next room, you wanna kind of glide into this room, and then you want to dash up right, and then do 2 wall jumps, and you should be able to squeeze between those 2 fireballs. And then you can either wall bounce or just dash upright and do a bunch of climb jumps, which is a little bit safer. If you do the climb jumps too slowly though, the fireballs will hit you, so you're going to want to practice both options. Also, you might accidentally grab a wall, but anyway, when you hit Badeline, you're gonna want to mash down right, and you are going to slide along this platform. So after you slide, you want to dash down into this transition. You want to wave dash off of here, or extended hyper, dash upright into Badeline, and then you can dash down right to land on this platform. You won't miss it, and then you want to hyper to Badeline. That was a dash jump somehow, but it still works. After hitting Badeline here, you want to mash it dash up, that you can then drift left to the wall. Let me do the whole thing again. And then you want to land on this platform, and you want to jump to the left so that you can wave dash off it. And using the extra dash from the wave dash will allow you to then dash upright into Badeline. And then it's once again down right out of the room. You're gonna want to land in kind of the lower pocket down here, so not the upper platform, but the lower one right here, so you can extend the hyper, dash upright, and then climb jump to her. Sometimes you'll get a corner boost, so it's a little bit faster. But after you hit her, this is another kind of optional strat, but pretty major one, where you can skip this feather doing an ultra dash. So if you're on the left edge of this platform, you can extend a hyper, and then you can ultra under the feather. And then using that ultra momentum, you can jump, extended dash jump off this platform at the end, and then dash upright into the feather. If you do grab the feather though, and it's not too bad if you do, but you can just like hyper to the feather, and then you need to take the feather down a little bit, and then you can just dash upright into Badeline. Also, if you do take the feather, it is slightly faster to wave dash off this platform before you dash into her. So you have lots of different options. So you can do that if you want. Now once again, it's a down right out of the room. This is another situation where you might slide, so you have to dash down. And I wanted to put a safe state there if this works. If you wave dash off of here, I don't have a dash for some reason, but if you wave dash or extended hyper off of here, you can then dash down to Badeline. And then you can dash down here. You'll never dash down too soon, so you can even mash the down dash if you want. But if you land right here and then just do a quick hyper, you can even just hold jump. You'll never accidentally go too high and grab that crystal. But you're going to hit Badeline and go under the crystal, so that you can then use the crystal to dash down left and then down right. And then that'll land you down here. And then it's just a hyper and then a bunny hop into Badeline. Again, dash down right, and then you want to just fast fall at the start of the next room. You don't want to dash into the feather at the start. So just fast fall and maneuver. You're going to need to go under the laser and then dash upright, which is a little tricky, but as long as you don't go too high, you won't hit the laser. After hitting Badeline here, you just dash right, maneuver the feather a little more, and then once you get out of that hole, you can dash left to this platform and then hyper to her. You're going to want to dash straight down just to cancel your recoil as soon as possible. And then you can do a hyper and then bunny hop off this platform right here. It is a little common to accidentally hyper the wrong distance and accidentally fall into the hole. So if you want, you can play it safe and just make your way to here, because you need to wave dash or hyper off this side into the next room in order to get the easy cycle in the next room. So if you enter this room without any momentum, or enter the next room without any momentum, it'll be much more difficult. So you want to hyper off of here, and then, that was odd. You want to hyper into here, and then just fall. and then you can dash upright to land on this platform. If you just walk in, you won't have enough momentum to get to that platform. So you need to use the momentum. You can fall off the platform and then just dash forward to land on the bumper. And you can use the extra dash to hit Badeline. From here, you can just hyper out of the room and then hyper again. You want to fall and then dash forward. And you may or may not land on that platform, so just be ready to time jump just in case you don't. And then you can just dash upright into her. And then you want to dash down right, hyper, bunny hop, and then be ready to dash into her again. And you may need to do 2 bunny hops, or you can wave dash off this last platform and then dash up into her. This is a part where it's very important that you go as fast as possible though. In fact, I think I may have even messed up the cycle by pausing. If you mash forward dash, you need to get to Badeline before she shoots you. So you want to mash forward dash, and then you can either jump straight up and then dash forward to get through the first gap, or if you do it correctly, you can just jump through the first gap. I personally find jumping through it harder, but some people do find jumping easier, so you can choose which option you want. They're about the same speed. But you need to jump and dash through the second gap. And if you do this quickly enough, you'll reach Badeline before she fires her laser. And then you actually want to wall jump to cancel this recoil, and then you want to dash straight down. You want to wave dash here, and then you can ultra to Badeline if you want, as long as you don't do it too soon. Mash down left, dash left. And then you want to wall jump off that wall to cancel the recoil, and then you can just dash down right to Badeline. You don't need to cancel the recoil off of this wall, you can just hold left. And then you want to wave dash off this block, so you can dash up left or up into Badeline. And then you want to dash down right to cancel the recoil. And then if you land here, you can do a very short hyper, and it'll pretty easily land you in here. Like if you do a short enough hyper, you'll never hit these top spikes. And so you can then just bunny hop through the second gap. And then dash to Badeline. Once again, you want to wall jump to cancel this recoil, and then dash down. And then this is where the kind of the final section of reflection starts. So you want to dash down right and then just hyper into Badeline to hit her soon enough. Dash forward here, and then you can hyper, bunny hop, and then dash upright to Badeline if you do the correct distance. But you want to avoid the water. So bunny hop kind of on the platform before the spring. And then you can dash forward here, hyper to her again. And then if you dash down, you can input a hyper here and then water boost by pressing your other dash button. So you press kind of both dash buttons at the same time. Get out of here really quickly. So you see pressing the second jump button makes me go higher. And that sends me over this gap. If you have trouble with this though, you can just dash forward after hitting Badeline to land here and then hyper into the next room. Skip this cutscene right away. And then if you just kind of do a hyper and then a bunny hop off the middle platform, you can dash to Badeline. And then you want to spam forward dashes. You may or may not land directly on this platform at the end, so just be ready to climb jump up to here if you don't quite land. And then you want to walk into the next boom, because hypering in is kind of dangerous. But basically, you need to time a hyper off of this block so that you fly straight towards Badeline. So just kind of hold crouch, and then be ready to input a very quick hyper. Once you get to her, something I do... what's Badeline doing here? Something that I do is I actually jump past the block and then reverse wave dash off it. I just find it helps line up the timing a little more. But you can just sit on it and hyper if you want. So I do a reverse wave dash like that, and that just helps me time it. Here, once again, wall jump, dash down into the transition. And then you want to wave dash off here so you can dash upright into her. Dash forward so that you can land here, and then you can just hyper to Badeline again. and then dash down right to here. And then you want to hyper off this platform, bunny hop on the third platform, which will start rising. And you want to make sure you get the correct height out of that bunny hop so you go over the or under the fireball that she's about to shoot, but also under the wall that's in your way. Or in fact, I think you even need to hyper off that last block. Yeah, so you want to time the hyper and get the correct height out of it so that you land on this platform without hitting the fireball. And you can just jump and then dash up right into her. You can take this recoil and dash down right. And then I'd recommend jumping and wave dashing off of here so you have momentum going to the next room. If you wave dash off the second block, so the first raised block, you can just slide off the last block and then dash up right into Badeline, and you'll always go under this fireball. And then you want to cancel the recoil by dashing right, and you want to wait on this rising block until it stops rising so that you can hyper off of it without getting a momentum boost. Because if you do get a momentum boost, it'll send you too high. And it's okay if you take your time with that, because you need to wait for this last block to go up no matter what. But you want to land on this last block and be ready to jump off it to get a momentum boost. So just take the momentum boost, dash right into Badeline, and then be ready to dash down left. Then if you fast fall correctly, you can avoid this platform and just fall right into the feather. If you're on controller, you don't need to do this if you're on keyboard because feather boosting, so starting diagonally is just as fast. But if you're on controller, something you can do to make this a little faster is to dash down left through the feather, so that you can take it straight down. And then you just want to maneuver, dash into Badeline, and then here, you can cut corners by dashing down left into Badeline. It's not too dangerous. Or you can dash, just fall more and dash left into her. After hitting her here though, if you just hold down right, you'll never hit these spikes here. So then you can just hold down right and then either dash down right or left into Badeline. But you're never ever going to hit these spikes no matter what, pretty much. And you need to dash left after hitting her here, and then you don't need to fast fall because this block is going to be waiting for you. But you want to take this block, jump, and then dash upright into Badeline. And then after hitting her, I'd recommend you fast fall here. You don't have to if you don't want to, but you need to just avoid the platform below you. And then I'd recommend dashing left into the bumper so you can more easily hit the side of it. You may even want to stop fast falling before you reach the bumper so it's easier to time. So you're going to hit Badeline there. And coming up is the last room of Badeline, which has a pretty tight cycle, so you're going to need to practice it. And it's also a very long room, sort of akin to the last room of Oshiro. But if you wait, so you can wave dash off of here using the recoil, or you can just land and extend a hyper. But you want to be ready to bunny hop at the start of the next room. You can jump and then dash upright over here. You want to take this feather upright, go under here. And then you want to take this second feather a little bit higher than the middle of the room so that you can go under Badeline's next laser. So you want to take this a little high so you can go down to avoid the laser. And then there is a fast cycle, which involves getting the next feather after this one without falling out of the current feather. But it's very difficult, especially on keyboard, so I'd recommend as long as you don't do this room too quickly, you'll be able to dash upright through this feather. The laser will fire beneath you, and then you can take the feather down right. And then here, I'd recommend taking this up and then dashing to the right so you go under the laser. And then you want to extended hyper, dash upright to get onto here. I think Badeline's going to kill me no matter what, so yeah. But once you get to that point, you can just do, you have a few different options. You can just play it safe if you want. So once you get to here, you can like extended hyper, and then you can either dash upright into her. You can dash down right into the spring, which is actually pretty safe, and then dash upright into her. If you do a very short hyper, just like the shortest hyper possible, you'll never brush against that corner. If you do it too fast though, you will hit the corner. So if you input a very short hyper, you can do that, or if you extended hyper or wave dash, you can also ultra hyper or to the springs, but this is probably the most dangerous way to do it. Wave dashing will put you a little further left, which makes the ultra slightly easier, but it also takes slightly longer, which means you're more likely to get hit by the laser. So the two methods I would recommend is either a very short hyper, bounce off the spring, or extended hyper, that you can dash down right to the spring. And then after hitting Badeline, it's just a dash to the right. And that'll land you right here. Movement in the next room is a little bit tricky, because you have all these different corners that you have to go over, but if you just hyper, if you hyper at the start of the room and bunny hop, you can wave dash off this platform, and then you can just wave dash off the next two platforms, and then dash down right to talk to Badeline. If you accidentally retry, it will still respawn you right here, so you can be pretty aggressive with this cutscene skip if you want. But you're going to get your dash back, which allows, or you're going to get your double dash now, which means that you can dash up twice, and I'd recommend going on the left wall, because it will line you up to just dash up left and then land right here. You can extend the dash up off this platform if you're far enough to the left, but I'd recommend just jumping, so you can dash up left and then wall bounce off this wall right here, and then you can just wall jump to land on here. You want to jump from here, and then you can do two wall bounces back to back. The first wall bounce, as long as you're not holding right, will pretty much automatically line up the second one, like that. Using the height from the transition, you want to extend a dash jump or extend a demo hyper off this raised platform here, and then you can either dash upright and then up, or the other way around, up and then upright. But you want to land on this platform. Make sure that you land on this platform before you press jump. It is actually quite easy to accidentally wall jump off of here and then fall down here, which costs you a ton of time. So you want to make sure you land on this platform. And then if you jump and then dash up left, you just need to time and up dash so you can wall bounce off that wall and then wall jump to the right. And then if you get enough height from that wall bounce, you can land here. Jump to the right, dash up, and then dash up again to do wall bounce off here. You may or may not have to climb jump if you don't get enough height. And then you pretty much want to do the same off this wall right here. And you'll usually have to climb jump here. It's kind of hard to get enough wall bounce height to just land here. Then from here, you just jump and then double dash to Badeline. And then the cutscene ends the moment you touch down. So the moment you touch the ground, you can skip the cutscene. And yeah, that's Reflection. A pretty tough chapter, but it's also, I find, one of the easiest chapters to be consistent in, just because there aren't many rooms that will completely throw you off. Like the bumpers, while they can be inconsistent, there's really only one or two rooms where the movement and angles of the bumpers can really mess you up. In particular, that triple bumper room after the room where you break the blocks is going to be one that you want to practice extra. And then Badeline, I actually find is kind of the easiest part, because you pretty much just have to know what inputs to do. There are very few like precise actions, and as long as you keep hitting Badeline and give her no opportunities to shoot you, it gets very consistent. So yeah, for Reflection, definitely try and get under 7 minutes, and then you're pretty much set, I'd say. Getting under 6:30 is also quite good, but it's not too crucial of a chapter. Like Resort and Temple B are still, I'd say, the hardest. But next up is Summit, which is going to be very fun. Probably a two-parter though, so I'll see you then.